It's season 4 time.
So we're down for a fun show right now.
Oh, this is going to be a very exciting show.
It's episode 1 of season 4. Whoop,
Can
whoop,
you
whoop.
believe it? I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. We've
What
been
I'm
doing
laughing
a lot
at
of
was
work,
like
huh?
someone once said like a season should be like 10 episodes. And
Yeah.
they've still not been 10 episodes. So it's about damn time that we move on to a new episode.
There you
Because we
go.
got lots of episodes out there, but all good.
You know what? I just think we're the flow kind of people, and when we flow so much, we just flowed into a whole lot of episodes.
We do just keep flowing and flowing and flowing.
I love it.
So, but also, I mean, we sat down, we had a meeting of the minds and talking about where we see this going. And, the one topic we came up that we discussed in depth was originally the show was set up because of the pandemic. How can we support our fellow goddesses? How can we lift each other up? And um, for all intents and purposes, the pandemic is over. Like, it's time to move on. And while we're still here to support each other. Uh, our mission it's evolving and gaining clarity. And would you like to share what we settled on?
Yeah, I mean, I know we like obviously for those of you that don't know, Julieta and I live close to each other, and we're real life friends, not just TV friends, radio podcast friends. And so we talk a lot, and we talk a lot about our businesses and how things show up in the world. And to me, there's those certain messages that keep coming back up, and certain obstacles that my clients, and I know your clients too, keep hitting on the same things. So we talked a lot about what do we want this podcast to be. And you're a word person and I'm a word person, so we will spare you all the enormous amount of vocabulary that we went through to get here. But I love our clarified and evolved mission. We'd like to say that Voices of the Goddess podcast is here to inspire women to uncover the magic within so they're free to live authentically. And I know that sounds like a lot of those words are so, I don't know, buzzworthy now. Like everybody uses the word authentically, but right, like we were talking about what is the purpose of life? Like, how do you find meaning in life? How do you find, what is it to live authentically, right? Remember we were talking about joy versus authenticity.
Yeah. And yes, we want everybody to create a life that is overall joyful for them. But in a joyful life, there can be sadness, there can be anger, there can be all of these other emotions. And not acknowledging those emotions, not seeing that they exist and trying to hide them and live in a false a false sense of perpetual joy is not healthy either. Like, we need to experience all our feels. So being authentic is, yes, be happy when you're happy, and when you're angry, like, acknowledge that anger, feel it, but then don't get stuck in it. Like,
Right.
acknowledge it, see what lesson there is in it for you, what's in it for you to grow and become, and to learn too, like, who is truly your authentic self. And I feel like in society we've just, what was your daughter's word that you were saying?
Imprint. Yes, she says that I say things and they imprint into her. No pressure.
Yeah, I think I feel a lot of what goes on there in the world tries to brainwash into being who we should be. And I hate the word should, but it's time to let go of all shoulding and be who we truly are and be who we want to be, and get real about it.
Yeah, and for me, like my highest value when I think of those things is really the word freedom. You know, every time I do a self-development course or I'm journaling something or I'm trying to get to the bottom of something, what I really want to feel even more than joy is freedom, right? Freedom to feel joy, freedom to feel sadness, freedom to cry on stage if I have to, freedom to drop an F-bomb if I need to, right? Like to live feeling heard and free to be whatever that is. And I think the word freedom just covers everything, right? Like it covers everything from how you show up in the world and how you're perceived and what you feel on the inside, the outside, just everything, right? So if we can take this season and move forward in a way that supports other people to uncover what's already within them, to allow them that freedom to live authentically, man, I think that's our highest self right there. That's
Yeah.
for me, that's what I see. So we're
And
really
having
excited.
them discover what they need to let go of, what they need to release to step into that, to step into their authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is about to get so juicy. You want to take a quick break? We'll take a quick break, come back, and then launch into some good stuff.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be back in a minute.
All right, Graciela. So we do have new listeners. We have people that have no idea who we are. So I think we should start with just introducing ourselves to everyone, letting them know, yes, we are podcasters, but we do other things too. So and those things that we do, we're super passionate about. So I'm going to let you go first. Tell everybody, um, what keeps you so passionate about what you do.
Oh, well, I think like you, I am a multi-passionate professional. Not just a podcaster, almost an accidental podcaster, really. It just so happens that I have lots of words and lots of things to say, and the universe allows me this opportunity. But my avocation is I am a portrait photographer, and I specialize in what I say pictures of who you are and not just what you look like. So genre wise, I'm a portrait artist. I love taking pictures of people, and whether that's personal branding for businesses and entrepreneurs, or whether it's boudoir, meaning intimate portraiture, or classic and traditional portraiture. What I love, and I say this all the time, is the human condition. Like everybody walks in feeling insecure and feeling awkward and feeling like, how am I ever going to get through this? I don't want to do this, but I do want to do this, but I'm scared to do this, and holding folks' hands and just seeing, like literally watching them grow and evolve in front of my face as we go through the session. That to me, that's my high. Like that's what keeps me passionate about what I do, because 9 times out of 10, and it's both men and women, they walk in insecure, not sure, usually with big sunglasses on so no one sees them walking in. And by the end of the session, everyone is like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I'm unstoppable. I feel great. Sometimes I laugh with some of our very masculine men. Everybody gets a little bit of makeup, right? I have a makeup artist. She comes and stays the whole time. But the men, especially my ultra masculine ones, they're like, oh, I don't know about makeup. And so I'm like, look, we're just going to even out skin tones. Okay. Dan Rather, Dwayne Johnson, the most masculine of men get makeup. So you're going to be okay. So they get their makeup and they go to leave, and we offer them a wipe and we say, here, do you want to wipe off your makeup? Can I tell you that the majority of men are like, you know what? I think I'm going to go out like this. Like, let me just, I feel pretty good.
I love that. I love that.
Like, oh my God. I was so powerful in what I did. But I love photography. It is an absolute chosen path. My degree is English education, so I really love books and all that, but I really love the art of photography. And I love the human condition. I kind of feel like I should have gotten a degree in mental health therapy stuff too, because that's really the fun part of it, is that everyone comes with all of their feelings, and I get to just embrace that and carry them through it. So
I just want to say, like, I feel like you as a photographer are doing what we're doing as our mission here on Voices of the Goddess. Like, people come in thinking that they should look some specific way based on societal standards of, what you should look like in a photograph, and trying to look like, a supermodel, a celebrity, a whatever. And during your photography session, the person gets permission to be their authentic self and understand that everybody's beautiful. Everybody's beautiful.
And I appreciate that so much. And we were talking one of our old episodes about like toxic positivity, and I'll say like even the body positive movement, which I love and support, everything has a little gap in it because when we talk about body positivity, your mind first goes to, oh, overweight people, quote unquote, right? But everybody at every size, everybody at every age is carrying the weight of someone else's expectations, of what is appropriate, what is not, what's okay, what's not okay. Like, what is it okay to look like this? Is it okay to have body hair? Is it okay to have cellulite? And so when I'm doing my sessions, I always ask, what do you love about yourself? And everyone always tells me immediately everything they hate about themselves. And I say, okay, great, good. Thank you.
That's not what I asked.
That's not what I asked. But I get it, right? Like it's our insecurities. But also I will take a picture and I'll say, okay, but we're just going to check. Like, we're just going to take this picture and we're just going to check. Am I okay? Is everything still okay? Do I still feel good about myself? And I can't tell you how many people at the end of it are like, you know what? I am a badass. I just forgot, So anyway, that's me. That's what I do. That's why I am so aligned with this podcast, because the mission and the vision are the same, because I want to help everyone move forward in a way that allows them to have the freedom to live authentically. That's really it. Your turn. Tell everybody, because I know you're doing this. You do the same work. You do the same thing.
We all do the same thing. So, just like you, I can't just do one thing. My hands are in many pots here, but the main thing that pays the bills and my first love is I'm a physical therapist. I struggle a little bit with that title because it's very Western and boxed in, and that's not me. So truly at my heart, I'm a healer. Yes. And but the beauty is that I don't heal anybody. Like, nobody can heal you except for you. And so I'm just, I'm the tour guide showing you how to get to your own healing and finding the wounds that need to heal and guiding you along the way. And it's not, I know sometimes people come to me thinking that I am going to fix them. And that's not what happens. I can put a Band-Aid on you, but if you truly want to heal, there's some work you got to do yourself. And that work isn't just physical work. There's emotional work. There's energetic work that all need to happen to support that. And so I'm doing that over 30 years now, which is insane to me. I can't possibly be old enough to be doing this for 30 years, but apparently I am. But there also became awareness that, my work, I do one-on-one with people, and I can only touch so many people by doing that one-on-one work. So how else can I bring healing to other people? And so, one of my favorite healing gifts of Mother Earth are crystals. And so I've been doing a lot of work with crystals, creating crystal sculpture, crystal pendants, crystal malas, all of that to help facilitate healing in someone, and it's like I can make a lot of those, so a lot of people can have those. And what's been wonderful is, yes, they look like, pretty little things, but the stories that come back about how they have created healing and change and success in people's lives is fantastic. And then also, like, we heal through our voice and our messages. And that's why this podcast is here. So, we can, this podcast has touched almost 12,000 people already. And so just continuing the path of healing through all those modalities.
Absolutely. And we talk a lot about the better we treat ourselves, the more it gives other women permission to do the same. And Lord knows we do that for each other. I know I feel that. And it's really neat when the audience reaches out to us and lets us know that, this has made a difference. So the thing that I do that I'm passionate about is also this podcast, is also because of the positive feedback that we get from it. And that's not to say we're doing anything amazing. I think, like, the way you are a physical therapist, that we're creating the environment for you to grow, for you to evolve, for you to be your highest and best self. I don't know. I love that. But we didn't get here overnight, and we didn't just wake up one day with incredibly successful businesses and career paths and all this freedom. So I'm going to ask you our next question, which is, what limiting belief did you have to let go of to arrive where you are today? Because you do some pretty amazing stuff. People come visit you from all over the world. Don't be fooled out there, podcast land. Julietta's pretty darn famous around those physical therapy parts.
So I think the biggest limiting belief for everything that I've had to let go of is I need to be perfect.
I feel that.
An interesting awareness I had around that topic, I don't remember, it's probably like 5 or 6 years or so ago, that I was blessed with the most amazing, amazing parents on the planet. I am sorry to everybody else who didn't have my parents, because they truly are the best. But they always told me that I was perfect, which on one level is awesome. My parents think I'm perfect, and that's awesome. But that also put on me the pressure of, they believe I'm perfect, so I have to be perfect. I have to do everything perfectly. And because, perfection can create paralysis and not moving forward. And truly, like, if I had been still living in that need to be perfect, this podcast would not exist. Because when it was started, I had zero clue about anything podcasting. So that for sure was the biggest limiting belief that I needed to let go of.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. Perfectionism is, well, for me, I released perfectionism when I read in a book. It was called Adult Children of Alcoholics. I have an alcoholic parent, and in that book, I realized that perfectionism for me came from needing to be perfect, so I wouldn't draw the attention of the negative, behavior from from my dad, right? So that's when I realized that my perfectionism wasn't, like, where did it come from? It came from a need to shrink, really, not be perfect because I was so amazing, right? But to be perfect so that no one would notice me, which was so crazy, right? So when you talk about perfectionism, it's interesting that we had similar experiences that were created out of totally different seeds, right? Really, really interesting. But for me, my limiting belief has always been being enough. Have I studied enough? Have I created enough? Have I had enough of this or enough of that? Am I good enough? Am I great enough? Like the one quote, right? Like, who am I to be great? And so it takes a conscious effort to this day, for me to level up, right? We talk about how we're always on a path, we're always leveling up. And just when you think you've arrived, it just means that it's time to go to the next level. Maybe celebrate a little bit, hang out, enjoy it for a second, but, keep moving. And so for me, it's about enough, and another concept that always comes to me is having the intellectual understanding of it as opposed to integrating it and really feeling it and understanding it. So I can say to myself, I know that I am enough, but like repeating that shit to myself every day isn't going to make me get past it. Right. So
Right.
I have to take action. I have to take action to prove to my own little brain that yes, indeed, I not only am I enough, but I'm quite a bit, to be honest with you. I'm quite a lot.
And that's why we love you.
Oh boy.
So, we're talking about, we're changing up our questions. We do this every season. Like we change up the questions a little bit to keep it interesting. But the one question that cannot go away, even though every time I think like it could go away because we already heard all the books, but people keep bringing new books. So, we got to keep building that goddess library. So what book are you bringing to the library, Graciela, that you wish everybody would read?
So I will first set the stage by saying you all have to understand that I probably own 2,500 books in my home. I read a meme the other day that said, think of purchasing books the way you do buying different types of tea. You're just building a little library so that at just the right moment, at just the right time, you take the tea that you need in that moment. And that's kind of how I feel about books. Like I like stockpiling them, even if I'm going to run out of time in this lifetime to read them all, but I know that they're there when I need them. So, of course, it's near impossible to, pick quote unquote the best book. So I just want to share a book that recently kind of just opened my mind a little bit, and that was Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I know it's come up, on the podcast before, but what I love about it is how easily you can read through it and truly the magic that she talks about. And one of my favorite parts is when she says that ideas are kind of just floating out there in the universe. And when you receive this download, it's your opportunity, right? And it's not just your opportunity, it is an opportunity for anyone willing to receive that download. So if you don't jump on it, someone else is going to jump on it, right? Like how many times haven't you said, I have a great idea, and then you get too busy and you don't do it, and all of a sudden someone else does it, right? Like someone else invents it or talks about it, and then you're like, oh, I had that idea. Well, that was the universe giving you an opportunity to jump on the idea. So for me, the way that freed me, and why it was so important to me, was to hear, when I hear those messages, to not just squash them, to not just be like, oh, that I can't believe I even thought of that. That's so ridiculous. I could never do that. No, I really can. And it came to me for a reason. So now I feel more, I don't know, motivated, more excited about moving forward with ideas that pop into my head. It makes it a fun neighborhood up in there in my head.
It does. It does. One thing I will say, that like you're accumulating books, and something that has like I've become semi-obsessed with is decluttering.
Ugh.
And because I love books too, and the thought of like getting rid of books was just unbearable. And I need to make space for new. And so I have started, oh, this book, I love this. And guess what? You'll love it too. Here you go. Go read it. So I've become very good at passing on books. And once in a while I'll be like, dang, I wish I had that book. Well, I'll just buy it again, because we got to support artists.
Yeah.
And,
I love that you're gifting it, right? You're passing it on. So it's still living.
Absolutely. So, and when it came to me picking a book to share, there are books like Big Magic. Who hasn't heard of that? Like, not too many people. And like, I think about some of the other books that have just meant so much in my life. The Four Agreements. Where would we be without the Four Agreements? Everybody needs to read the Four Agreements, and everybody knows they need to read the Four Agreements. I don't need to tell anybody that. But as we're not famous yet. Yet. And there's a lot of people, we talk about this, like, everybody has something to say that the world needs to heal. And so there needs to heal, needs to hear to heal. There we go.
Well, yes.
So there's a lot of authors out there that have amazing books that for whatever reason, they're just not famous yet. So I picked a book that I suspect not too many people in our audience have read. And interestingly enough, Allison, my prior co-host, actually gifted me this book because it has goddess in the title. But it's 73 Lessons Every Goddess Must Know, a Sacred Playbook for Your Soul by goddess Leonie Dawson. And because we talk about this a lot as well, that people need permission. And when I started reading her book, and I'm going to read a part of this because she gives a lot of permission in there, but I just want to read this little bit for everybody. Today and every day, you have permission. You have permission to say no to demands on your time that don't light you up and don't give energy back to you. You have permission to not give a crap what's happening outside your world and to keep your energy focused on what you are creating. You have permission to let go of friendships that make you feel like shit. You have permission to know that yes is powerful and so is no. The power comes from using either from your highest spirit and truest integrity. You have permission to change. You have permission to not be the person you once were.
Beautiful. God, right? I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And it truly is just a decision. I had a friend of mine I would tell her this whole big giant problem and how I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. And she would look at me and she'd go, but it's just a decision. Like, just decide that's it. And then that's it. And it really is, like, it's that permission. Isn't that amazing?
Yes. So
I love this.
I give you all permission.
That's all. And sometimes that's all you need is just one person to say it to, So again, why we love this podcast, why we love being here is to be able to give that message, right? That it is okay. Whatever it is that you want to do and live authentically, I promise you, it is okay. It always is. It always is. And speaking of, I know we like to remind people that life is cyclical. Growth is cyclical, right? You don't just get to remember, like when you were in first grade and they were like, second grade's going to be really tough, like you better get ready. And then you're in second grade and they're like, oh, middle school's coming. Middle school's going to be really tough. And so you're constantly like, oh, when I get to middle school, I'll be able to relax. And then when I get to once I graduate high school, it's going to be great. I'll be so free. But then it's college and then it's, life and marriage, right? And
real life.
And it's like, who sold me this, stuff telling me that I was going to get to a certain level and then be happy? Like, what a scam, right? So keeping in mind that we get to be happy now, regardless of where you are on the path, right? And growth is cyclical. We are always learning. So for all of our accomplishments, and I know you and I have had some really great fun success in our businesses, there's always more, right? So what is your secret gift? Something that you have percolating in there that wants to come out. And I don't know what's stopping you right now. Let's just get a little raw. Let's just get a little.
Well, we know the only thing stopping me is me.
Is me, right?
And so, I mentioned a little bit at the beginning, talking about me being a physical therapist. Like, physical therapy is a Western medicine profession with all kinds of rules around it and how it's supposed to be. And the honest truth of the matter is I don't fit inside that physical therapy box very well at all. um, there's too much connection to the spiritual realm, the quantum frequency, quantum energy realm, and all that is encompassed in there. And I laugh because this whole way along my journey of being a physical therapist, it's like, okay, now I'm going to let people see that, I do this and then I do, and I think like I'm all like, yeah, I'm being my true self. And then after I'm doing that for a while, it's like, yeah, like there's this whole other
A
layer that
little
you
more.
haven't showed them. So it keeps going layer upon layer. And so, um, talked about this in a couple of other um, podcasts, but me opening up to doing this channeling, and I'm laughing because I'm like, it's my guides that asked me to do it, and um but the hilarious part is like they're like telling me like this is going to be a thing, and they're like, yeah, like you could be like Esther Hicks and Abraham, and I'm like, okay, that's really difficult for me to wrap myself around right now, but there's a piece of me that's like, yeah, that could be totally true. Totally
Yeah,
could be if I
yeah.
allow it.
That
So
it's just a decision, right?
we'll see if I step out of my way and let it happen.
But I love that you're sharing that you have your wins, you have things that you have allowed, and there's always something more. There's always something more that needs to come out. There's always something more that could be even greater than it is, right? And there's no end. Like that's the other big thing that I want to get out there is that this is for life, right? Like one of our previous guests talked about her mom having a big revelation at 85. At 85 you get to keep learning, you get to keep evolving, you get to still find yet another higher version, freer version of yourself, right?
Absolutely.
I just think it's so beautiful. And I thought
So
a
of
bit about
course.
this. I thought about it's so hard being a guest on this show. No. It's easier to
But that's
ask.
not what our guests say. Our guests say it was
I know
fun.
they don't. That's because I'm a behind the scenes person. But anyway, so for me, what secret gift do I have? I always say I'm not dead yet because I have like 27 ideas. One of the things that I would love to do is like to have a retreat center. One of the things that I would like to do is just, I made multiple six-figure photographer. I'd like to be a seven-figure photographer, and it's not that I'm driven by the almighty dollar. It's that I recognize that money is energy and that energy needs to go to the right place. And I feel like I'm a steward of that. I feel like I have a responsibility in the most positive way. I shouldn't say responsibility. Like I have the honor of being the type of person that can channel that energy to the right place at the right time. I love my nonprofits. I love helping. I always laugh because in my wallet I have a poem that I read first in high school, and I printed it and I kept it in my wallet. I don't know if you know this story, but it is
I know I've heard it, but please remind me.
well, it's Emily Dickinson's if I can stop one heart from breaking. And it goes, if I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life of the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto its nest again, I shall not live in vain. And so I've always taken that, I don't know, that's kind of like my life poem, like I think for me to be truly great is means that I can impact more and more people with what I'm doing, Um, second part of that, what's stopping me, my own I don't know, made up fears about time and money and lack, and um again, we talk about like the intellectual understanding of being in abundance and creating in abundance, and man, every time I do, it works, you know, and every time I think to myself, oh, is it enough? Is it enough? It's never enough. Right. So, yeah, it's not easy to create your own reality. And yet, it's just a decision. So I don't know. Maybe the theme is the only thing in the way is me. Obviously.
Well, and obviously that's what it is. But also uncovering what piece of you is that? Because there's the you that wants to do it and is perfectly capable of doing it. It's just one little piece of you that needs to get out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my piece is like an 8-headed dragon or something. It's little, but it is mighty, you know. I get wrapped up a lot in logistics and things like that. So I don't know, whatever that's called, you know. But
Well, and the
we're
bottom
work in
line is
progress.
that we're all here to support each other. And, you know, me and our audience is here to support you in achieving your dreams. You and our audience is here to support me in achieving my dreams. We are here to support our audience in achieving their dreams. And you know, the tools that each of us need to make that happen are going to come out of the mouth of either you or I or one of our guests along the way. That will be just that one magical thing that you needed to hear
Yeah.
to open up, to find the freedom to be your true self.
Totally. And you know, every episode I get something new and exciting and amazing out of it. I really do. You know, I always sometimes I think to myself, "Oh, is someone going to say anything new?" And man, they never disappoint. It's always something new that I just, you know, you got to hear it at the perfect time in the perfect part of your life and said in the perfect way, and then that's the thing that blows your mind. Like that's what keeps me going, right? Is that little magic point, because I know that there's a point in there somewhere where you just make that switch, you know. I don't know. It's beautiful. What time is it? Ooh, we've been on here for a bit.
We've been on here for a bit. It is time for us to wrap up. So, any parting thoughts you have for our audience?
Well, given our mission, right? So I keep going back to our mission. We want to inspire people to uncover that magic so that they have the freedom to live authentically. And so if I could only give away like one key to that, it's that you already have everything you need. It's inside of you already, right? Like everything you need. And I say this to myself too, right? Like half the reason I do this podcast is because it's what I need to hear for myself. So I love you all and I love me too. But that everything that you need is already inside of you. And hearing that makes me feel so much better because I feel like I don't have to go anywhere to get it. I just have to access it within myself, which is really, really comforting for me. So I hope that brings you guys some comfort as well.
I'm sure that it will. And like you said, not only is everything inside each of us, everything that we need for that also exists. And it's just getting the keys that we need for each of it. And, you know, over the course of the season, like keys will be left here and there for you to unlock that magic and that will give you the freedom that you need. And so, you know, I don't know, 160 whatever episodes into this. And sometimes I think like, am I really going to enjoy doing another episode? And it's like every guest that shows up just has a beautiful, their message might not be new, but the way they say it is new and fresh and just brings it to a next level. So, you know, I hope you all keep tuning in and please share. And, you know, we love feedback from you, you know, comment on the episodes. Let us know, like, you know, what stood out for you? What key did you get that day? And you know, if you're not already in our
story, right? Like I want to hear the stories. Not only am I a storyteller, but I'm a story consumer. Like I'm a story aficionado. I love it. Like come into the group and tell us about it because I promise you that the story you're telling, someone else needs to hear. And even if you don't do it for anybody else, like do it for yourself, do it for the two of us. I don't know. It just, I love it so much. I think it's so important. I'm so excited for season 4. This is going to be amazing.
It truly is. So I think it's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap too. We love you guys so much. We're so excited to have you with us. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll see you soon.